didn't even get to cross.
What is up, guys? It's SMG Maxx, and today I'm bringing you 7 reasons why you shouldn't buy Destiny and why I think it is a big letdown. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Reason number 1, and this is maybe one of the biggest underlying ones, is this big online seamless multiplayer MMO type of experience that Bungie is going for. And guys, I don't believe it works one bit. I think it's a flop. This big huge game that they're going for, and I'll tell you why. The reasons why is because you throw all these players in a world, and they're expecting everyone to interact and just seamlessly do missions together and form strike teams or fire teams spontaneously, and it just doesn't happen, guys. What it turns out, what it ends up being is just 24, 25, I'm not sure the exact number, players running around this hub of the tower, running around, kicking the soccer ball around with their heads and doing funny little dances, and it doesn't add anything to the experience. It just feels tacked on, and they said, let's just throw all these fucking people in one world, and let's just leave it at that. Let's not give them any reason to interact with each other, or to try to trade with each other, or befriend each other. And it's kind of pointless. There's no in-game chat of any kind, given that it is a console game. I'm playing on a console at least. And there's no in-game chat. There's no way to try to hook up with anybody. The few times I've gone up to someone to trying to form a fire team and do some missions together, no one replies. No one wants to team up. It just doesn't work. It's not necessarily Bungie's fault, but at the same time it is, because they don't give you too much of a reason to try to team up with these other players randomly running around in your world. And they basically are just human NPCs is what I could describe them as. Human NPCs that you don't really want to interact with. And they're just, it's unnecessary. Reason number 2, this may be the biggest reason, is the crappy story that Destiny and Bungie has delivered to us, trying to pass it as some epic space battle, space conflict between the darkness and humanity has been pushed back to extinction, and it's dwindled down to one last thriving city known as the Tower, and which is a big floating thing above Earth's atmosphere. I don't know. I can't tell you what any of this shit is. There's this little cube dude that follows you around throughout the game. He drops half-hearted one-liners, and he's trying to be like Claptrap from Borderlands. And I hate to compare this to Borderlands and Halo, but inevitably it's going to be compared to Borderlands and Halo. And it just doesn't feel very like they put a whole lot of effort into it. It feels like they said, oh, it's an MMO game. The players aren't going to play it for the story, so we're just going to slap some stuff together, and voila. There it is, Destiny, storyline. It sucks, guys. It sucks. This is after I was disappointed with Watch Dogs' story, and Watch Dogs' story was fucking fantastic compared to this shit they try to pass off. It's stupid. It's pointless. You're not going to want to pay attention to 5 minutes of this nonsense that they're presenting to you, and it's just, I can't even really explain it that well because I had no idea what was happening 95% of the time. I couldn't have cared less about what the fuck's happening. Your character has absolutely no dialogue, no development whatsoever. Any of these characters have. They didn't spend time in any character development, any type of real engaging cutscenes or engaging missions. They just didn't bother. It's just they just didn't really care. I think Destiny provided the platform for an interesting, intriguing story, and they just did not want to deliver it, and it shows. It shows big time in the game, and this is maybe one of the biggest reasons why I think this game is not worth the money. Moving on to reason number 3 is this game has been presented as a huge, giant, massive, huge world where and it's a game that you can never stop playing. You can play it forever and ever, like Skyrim. There's endless missions. There's endless opportunities. The world's so big. You never see the same thing twice. And it's just not that way. Not one bit. It doesn't even it pisses me off. There's not even, the worlds are so small, guys. They're tiny. They're the size of maybe, I would roughly say 2 or 3 Halo levels combined. Maybe. That's being generous. Maybe 2 or 3 Halo levels combined, each world is. So altogether, the entire game would, I would give it about the size of maybe Halo and a half. Corridor missions, uninspired level design, boring environments. Other than the gorgeous backgrounds that are just fucking fantastic. It's like, holy shit, why can't I go there? It's fucking beautiful. But just boring level designs, boring art direction, and it really drags the game down as a whole. This game is not big in any sense of the imagination at all, whatsoever. At all. It's not big. People might say, well, it doesn't need to be big to be good. And it's a fair argument. Maybe it doesn't need to be this huge, awesome, fantastic game to be good. But when you're pushing for this type of MMO game that they're going for, they may not call it that, but that's pretty much what it is. It's trying to be an MMO, and they'll never admit it. Bungie will, but it's basically what it's going for. And for a game that's trying to do that, it's flat. It falls so short, guys. It's completely, utterly ridiculous how small these corridor worlds are. Even worse, the missions don't even take place in unique places of these worlds. They're so tiny that they gotta fucking cram all these missions into one little shitty-ass environment. And it ends up being, you track the same thread several times. I found myself going over the same plot of land several times that it would, I would be crossing the same path. And it was very frustrating. At first, I was like, oh, this is kind of familiar. And it turns out, yeah, I've gone through this library 4 times in the same world because they ran out of fucking space. And it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make, I don't know why they would push it and advertise it as this huge game. It's not big. Reason number 3.5, I had to fit this into one reason because it's kind of the same thing, is the extremely short campaign. Extremely short campaign. Extremely short. This is not Borderlands 25, 30, 35 hours of content that's good and exciting. It's not Halo with 20, 25 hour campaigns. Guys, it's not good. It's not long. I would say I beat this in maybe, I'd say 15, 16 hours I completed Destiny's campaign. 15, 16 hours. A big majority of us aren't going to have a problem doing that in one day. In 1 week, definitely in 1 weekend. But there's some of us that can blaze through it in one day, especially if you have a good fire team with you. You can just fucking tear through missions, guys. Tear through them. And there is no reason to go back and replay these whatsoever, which is what Destiny expects you to do. Expects you to endlessly grind out levels, replaying the same fucking missions over and over again in the same environments. And honestly, it feels insulting that they would push this game, that present it as the big next step in next generation shooters, and have a 15, 16, maybe at the very max 20-hour campaign. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Moving on to reason number 4, is that there is not enough loot drops and meaningful skills to gain to justify grinding fucking countless hours out replaying the same missions. There's not enough loot to justify it. You have a weapon that's maybe 115, 116 damage. You can grind out for 5, 6, 7 hours and find yourself maybe with a 5 or 6, 7, 8 point increase. It's ridiculous how small and fucking unrewarding the loot drops are. When you get them, I'll admit this, when you get them, it's a, oh my fucking god, I finally got it over with feeling. It's not a rewarding feeling of, I feel like I'm moving up, I feel like I'm advancing in this game, it's fun. It's not that. It feels like, fuck, I'm grinding out the same god, I'm grinding out more slightly better weapons and slightly better skills that do not add a whole lot to the game experience. They just don't. And not only that, the class options, the 3 different classes, Titan, I don't even know the other 2. I don't fucking care. They just don't offer enough variety to sustain long-term play. They just don't. The classes really blend together after a few hours of play. The big distinction is the Titan's ground slam by hitting both the bumpers, which is really, really awesome. I'll admit it. It's really cool. But yeah, the gear you get from playing a lot of Destiny it doesn't justify the amount of hours and time and commitment you have to put in. And yeah, moving on to number 5 is the tacked on bad multiplayer, which is really crazy coming from Bungie. I mean, coming from Bungie, the multiplayer just fucking sucks. I'll say it right out. It sucks. It's unimaginative, and if you're just starting out and you get in a match with maybe a few level 20, 21, 22, 23 guys, you are fucked. You are absolutely fucked. They say level advantages are disabled, meaning that your armor upgrades and whatnot are disabled. But it's not true. The weapons, if you find these guys have way better weapons than me, I get fucking destroyed in multiplayer. Not because I suck, maybe partly because I suck at everything, but mostly because they're just so much better than me that they are willing to grind out this unrelentingly boring, unimaginative game that you just get whooped in multiplayer if you're not devoted enough to grinding out these levels. There's 4 different multiplayer modes. 4 different multiplayer modes. There's like a 3-on-3, which is easily the most fun if you have some friends to play with. 3-on-3 game mode. There's the hard point, basically, like you capture posts and you hold them, whatever you want to call it. Control, domination. I don't know. There's a team deathmatch mode, and then there is also a I'm forgetting the 4th game mode. Anyways, it doesn't really matter what the 4th game mode is because it probably sucks too. The multiplayer modes are just they're really boring. The maps are unimaginative. They're very small, cramped maps. The gunplay is fine as it is throughout Destiny. The gunplay is solid. It works. It's not anything very remarkable, but it works. And the only reason I touched the multiplayer is so I could more quickly get a couple higher levels. And other than that, there's not a whole lot of reasons to play the multiplayer. There's a lot better multiplayer out there, a lot better, i.e. Halo 4. And yeah, moving on to number 6. I'm rambling a little bit here. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to go in detail about these reasons. Reason number 6 is the enemies' environments are very similar and very familiar. They do not vary a whole lot, and for some weird reason, the gravity is the same on Earth and Moon and Venus and Mars, which is just fucking, it's unacceptable. How is the gravity on the surface of the Moon the same on Earth? Just explain that to me. Yeah, some people can say, oh, it's just a game. But it doesn't make sense. You should be bouncing around and shit on the Moon. That would be fun. But the enemies are just so fucking uninspired. They're uninspired, they're boring, they're just not very creative. They have hobgoblins and goblins and just these like floating eyeballs floating Fruit Loops that just like shoot lasers at you, and then they have like this spider mech kind of things. Very cliche, spacey enemies that you would expect, and they're not all they're not that great. They're not great at all. I'll go on and say it. They're not great at all. They're not imaginative. They're not fun. They're not very interesting whatsoever. After about the fucking 500th time I've shot a goblin in the face, it gets boring. The AI is stupid as shit. It doesn't really, they don't think at all. They just kind of run at you and just shoot bullets. Woo! And they don't plan at all. There's just no really strategy to Destiny's gameplay. You can just fucking guns blaze your way through the entire thing, which is boring as shit. And yeah, moving on to reason 6.5 is the bosses are so boring. They take they're bullet sponges is what they are. They take sometimes 25, 30 minutes to take down one boss. And you just have to sit there and you just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot at the weak points, and their life bar slowly goes down while it spits out lesser enemies at you that you have to take down. And then they have a one-shot, one-kill hit, every boss does, that if you happen to be in its radius of when it happens, you're fucked. You gotta restart the whole goddamn thing, which I found myself doing multiple times. And about the 5th time that a fucking Fruit Loop took me down with a one-hit laser kill, after I've been shooting at it for 25 minutes, I was about to cry. Okay? It's when you beat these bosses, it's not a, oh, I feel like a badass feeling that I imagine someone at Bungie thought that players would feel, is that, oh, these enemies took forever to kill. When they beat them, they're gonna feel so rewarded, and they're gonna feel so, ah, man, I feel like a badass. No, it's not that. It's, holy shit, I'm glad this is over. Can I do the next fucking level so I can beat the campaign and move on with my fucking life? That's the way I felt about it, about majority of the boss battles in Destiny. And last but not least, number 7, is that the entire game just feels very generic and just uninspired. It feels safe. Destiny didn't take any risks at all in the art design, the character design, the level design, the story, the multiplayer. They just didn't take any risks at all. And for a game that cost $500 million, let me say that one more time, just to reiterate this fact. $500 million Destiny took to produce. And that's fucking ridiculous. It's the most expensive video game ever created at up to this date. Grand Theft Auto 5 is a close second, I believe, at like 400 and something. But anyways, beyond the point, it just feels very safe for a game that poured this much resources into this game that's supposed to be giant and epic, and it's supposed to redefine shooters and redefine. It's supposed to be the game to get on Xbox One and the game to get on PS4. It's supposed to be the must-have game of the fall. It's supposed to just be pushing expectations, pushing hardware. It just doesn't do it. It's just generic, boring-ass game. Stupid enemies, stupid story, pointless multiplayer, pointless seamless online multiplayer, bad competitive multiplayer, very uninspiring environments, and generic as fuck. This game is not worth $64 of your money. There's plenty of better games coming out. If I were you, after watching this video, if I've changed your mind, consider picking up Shadow of Mordor, which comes out later this month. Very excited for that. Looks fantastic. I suggest picking it up, even though we might want to wait to see reviews come in for that one. Thank you for watching, guys. I know this was a little bit long. If you've been sticking out this far, thanks a lot. I know I've been rambling a little bit, but just trying to go in detail for you guys. If you like this video, please leave a like and leave a comment. Feedback helps a lot. If you have any ideas for videos whatsoever, want to collaborate, anything at all, guys, message me, PM me, comment, whatever. Add me on Xbox Live. Do all that beautiful stuff. Subscribe and have a fantastic, wonderful, beautiful day. SMG out.